I'm a pathologist,
Yes.
and I'm not a statistician. I'm not a clinical trialist. But when I hear that the FDA is taking this seriously and they say that we need to pause
Yeah.
and look at the evidence, then I'm in favor of doing that.
We've just heard Paclitaxel, the last word. What's your thoughts about that session?
My thoughts were that you showed data that I haven't seen at some of the other sessions I've attended in the last few months. Uh, in particular, this morning, I thought they showed very good uh, data emphasizing that there is a possible mortality signal here and that we have to take it seriously.
Dr. Katsanos, the Greek radiologist who was at St. Thomas's, held this meta-analysis, and he's now in Patras. And he has alerted the whole world to, through his meta-analysis, which was published in quite a good journal and will have been fairly well refereed. Suddenly, it's high impact. And he spoke today, and he is standing by all of his claims that there is an increased mortality in various devices put together with either drug-coated balloon, drug-eluting stents, the whole lot together. There are various statistical quibbles about it. But in the end, the audience wasn't absolutely certain whether there was something or not. And I understood, I don't know what you did, but the FDA and MHRA, they were taking it seriously enough to get about it. But
Yes.
I'm not certain they had decided what they thought.
I do think that we need to just take a step back and evaluate the data.
In the Swede pad and Basel III, they decided to stop using paclitaxel in the trials. In SwedePad, it was said to be entirely because of the publication, and that influenced them. They were quite open about that. In Basel III, the statistician John Deeks was also a statistician and a referee for the British Medical Journal, and he seemed to imply that the mortality probably was higher, although there were some problems with the data. It probably was higher. But that ultimately, to be sure, there'd need to be an individual patient data meta-analysis. So when you asked the audience, they'd noticed it, but it wasn't absolutely certain right across the board.
Well, I think there's a lot of uncertainty around the whole controversy right now. And I think what's especially troubling to clinicians is that we don't understand the mechanism. They seem to want proof of some kind of causal link or a specific, mechanism to explain these findings, and we just don't have that. We need to pause, take a step back, because the truth takes time, and we need to evaluate all the data that we have.
I think what it means is that there's no demonstration of paclitaxel in the bloodstream and cause of death. And so it's down to an association or not. And that association, because it's been raised by the FDA, less so I think by the MHRA. The FDA have raised the concern, and the MHRA seem to be sitting it out. And there are trialists wanting to complete their trials. The other thing that came up for me, Eleanor, was that any patient with intermittent claudication or critical ischemia has a certain risk of death anyway,
Yes.
whether you do something or nothing.
Yes.
And that seemed to be bedevil the whole subject.
Yes.
To know what was paclitaxel, what wasn't. And somebody even mentioned another drug which could be used in the process of fixing paclitaxel onto a balloon. So all in all, we are taking it seriously, and we don't want the patients to suffer, but we're not absolutely certain whether...
Still not absolutely certain.
Do you think that was a correct discussion about the trade-offs with paclitaxel? On the one hand, it has been known that it can do better with restenosis, but it's also been known that it's used for killing cells. So there is a trade-off, there is a danger with it, and that's been known. And whenever you use it, you know about that danger potentially. And so it means that the clinicians are going to have to think very carefully when they use it.
And I think the clinicians also owe it to their patients to describe the risks and benefits
Yes.
associated with the procedure.
Yeah.
And
The FDA are saying that too.
And the FDA is saying this too, that in fact, they are not saying that you must stop use of this device. They are saying that in any individual patient, they leave it up to the clinician to decide whether to use this device or not, make sure the patient is consented and understands the risks and the benefits. And I would go along with that.